Hi, I'm Virginie, and this is Better Minds. This podcast is a gentle space for honest conversations about mental health, creativity, and the music that shapes us. Whether you're healing, learning, or simply looking for comfort, I am so grateful you're here. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Better Minds. Today's episode is a really special one. I sat down with Tafari Anthony for a conversation that was honest, deep, and at times really vulnerable. We talked about his song Never Know You, his creative journey, mental health, and also went into more personal territory, including identity, family, and his coming out story. It's one of those conversations that just flows naturally, and I'm really grateful he shared so much. So take a moment, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Can you sing? Just kidding. No. Come on. Anyway, so what's the story behind Never Know You?
Never Know You is a pretty personal one. I wrote it honestly about a year to the day of releasing it. So it was released April 14th. I was having a conversation with somebody about, being polyamorous and all these kind of things and just like my queer lifestyle. And, I was immediately kind of met with like, why do you have to have multiple partners? Like, you should just have one partner, like just very much like an old school way of thinking. Not to say that is wrong. Like, everyone is entitled to, the kind of relationships that they want to have and how they want to live. But the mentality was just, or the energy was very kind of like attacking, and then like kind of prepared me to like somebody that would be cheating on somebody. I was like, this is like two completely very different things, right? Like one, you have transparency, the other one you don't, so it kind of sparked from that. And then, this is kind of like Never Know You was kind of like the things I didn't say in the conversation almost. Like it's what I was feeling in the moment, but because somebody that I respected and someone that is really close to me, I wasn't also like when the phone call happened, I wasn't in a energy to kind of like school them on anything, like I was being open with my life and what was happening. So I just kind of like left it. And then I think probably the next day I like sat down and wrote the song, and it just kind of like, it really just kind of poured out. Not much has changed from it since the original demo, to be honest too. Like a lot of the lyrics are the same, maybe a couple of lines changed here or there just to kind of like tighten things up a bit. But for the most part, it's as it was and as I was feeling. So it's just kind of, it was that situation that kind of sparked it. And then what's interesting I find with writing, music, and creating is a lot of times, I wrote that about a specific situation, but a year later, it's like other things have happened that kind of relate to this now in my life. I'm like, yes, I can see like the patterns and the cycles that are happening, and like, trying to break that down for myself and for other people, and using those experiences to kind of be aware of, how I interact with people going forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, what a song. It's so good.
Thank you.
I love those melodies so much.
Yeah, it felt very classic, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it leans more into like the pop rock world, which is not like, at first like, it feels very different from what I normally do, but I don't think it actually is. I just think it's more direct. Like I think I often find a way to kind of blend all the different things that I like into one thing, which is cool, and gets cool results like people I don't like. But it just kind of felt like true to kind of stick to that kind of like early 2000s pop rock vibe.
Yeah,
just kind of
my fave.
have that angst, and even like the melody and the story of it just kind of felt like the right way to kind of present that. So I just didn't question it. I was like, you know what, that's what's coming out, let's do it, and it feels good, and we put it out that way. So yeah,
This is what's working, going back to the early 2000.
it's a vibe, right? Like, I don't know, it's just, I feel like music back then too was just very like theatrical and dramatic, but still like pop and catchy.
Yeah.
And, it utilized harmonies, which we love in this house, background vocals, and like the cool arrangements, and not necessarily trying to like recreate or like not necessarily trying to like make something completely abstract, but being able to like use like pop sensibilities and the formulas, but find little things to kind of add in there to kind of make it a bit more special and a bit different from what you're used to hearing, right? So I feel like that's good. You got Christina on the Wall there, like that's that album is, it is the number one in my books.
You know what? my favorite album ever.
So it's so good. Like the fact that was able to, even I should say, because I think at that time too, it's like trying to do an album like that at that time. I'm sure it was a lot of backlash with like, you know, the different genres that she was doing and kind of stuff. But like to me, that's what made it perfect, because I love it's one thing to have an album where it's like, okay, it's an R&B album and every song is kind of like in that vein. I love that too. But for me, I don't know what it is, but I love when an album can bring me to different styles of music and different things, but it's the same artist and like the voice is what ties it in and the storytelling ties it in, and not necessarily like it has to be the same music all the time, you know, because I get kind of bored personally when an album just kind of all sounds the same.
Yeah, same.
I love how that one just kind of like, it really dives into the different things that she loves, and I think it works perfectly.
Yeah, this is what she's always been doing. She just does whatever the fuck she wants to make.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't give a shit.
As you should, right? Like,
yeah. Sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not really working for other people, but it's working for her. But stripped.
That's probably the key in all this. Like, you know, I think trying to appease or like work towards like what is everyone gonna like, it gets really daunting, and I don't know, it just becomes really inauthentic because you're no longer like serving what it is that moves you. Even if that stuff does move you as well, it's like you're so focused on like what is everybody gonna love and like, as opposed to like what am I feeling and what resonates with me first, and then, you know, the audience will come based on that. But I think on the authenticity is the thing that has to be in the forefront of everything, at least for me. So
yep, well said. So if Never Know You was a conversation, what would you still want to say that didn't make it into the lyrics?
Ooh. The song kind of feels like there's no resolve, I would say. Maybe like in the conversation, it's just kind of like, not say that's tacky, but I'm just kind of like calling out the things that I'm noticing about this person, and how I hope that these things I'm noticing, they can kind of get over so that they can, you know, grow as a person and move forward as a human being. Not necessarily just with me, but just in life, I think it would be helpful. But I think what's missing in the song is probably, you know, the angle of like, there's still a lot of love and respect there, and I respect your opinion, and I respect, you know, your views and your values. However, I want my values and views to be respected as well. Like there's maybe hints of it in there, but it's not explicitly said in the song. And that's probably one thing that's missing from that conversation, I would say.
Have you played the song to that person when you first wrote it?
No. Have they heard it now? I have no idea. But no, it was one that I have a few songs where, I mean, many songs where I write them and they're not necessarily intended for like mass consumption. Like a lot of times I'll write for my own self to kind of work through things, or like almost like as if I'm my own therapist. So sometimes there's songs that I write that they're not really meant for people to hear. This is maybe one that I was like initially just kind of writing so I could sort out what was happening in my own brain. But then it turned out like this, and it's like, this feels like something that people should hear, and I feel like the message is universal enough that a lot of people might relate to the situation, not have the words to kind of put it into action for themselves. But yeah.
Well, it's a great song again. So you've been releasing music since 2016, right? I didn't know you then. See? Because I've known you since 2020. So how did your music evolve over the years?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like it has evolved in the way of, you know, the more I do this and create and write songs, and I think even the act of releasing music is it's a really creative process as well, and teaches you a lot. I think the act of releasing the music has been what's helped me to evolve my music the most. And I say this because, like, you know, in 2016, the budgets were very low. I had no idea what I was doing at all. Like I had stopped doing music for a long time, and I went to college and just kind of forgot about music for a bit. So when I came back to doing it and releasing stuff in 2016, what was fun and exciting about that time is like nobody had any idea who I was or what I was doing, right? So I was just creating and doing whatever felt good to me, uh, with no expectation, right? There was nobody waiting for it. Nobody knew I was coming out of the project. Like, nobody even knew who I was. So there's like a low expectation of what to do. And you just kind of, you're in a much freer spot at that point. Um, I think the years between that album and then lead up to 2020, there was a lot of me chasing, oh, what are people going to like? Well, should I be doing this? And people are always in your ear like, oh, you sound like an R&B singer. You should be doing this kind of music. You should be doing this, doing that. And, when you're younger, I feel like you're more impressionable to a lot of those things sometimes where your vision might become a little bit blurred because, so-and-so has done these things and they're saying I should do this. So I should do that. And I think there's nothing wrong with exploring those options and, trying things out. I think that's important as well. But I think at the core of it is knowing who you are and what it is you want to say and what you want to do and how you want to be perceived. So that when people come in, with these ideas, I'll say they're wrong, but like you can hear them, be like, okay, cool, I hear you. Maybe I'll try that if it feels right to me, as opposed to I'm going to try that because you said so, So I think that the 2020 project that you found me on, I had an intentional movement of wanting to do pop music. Previous to that, the first EP was more alternative. It had like, yes, R&B sounds, it had some pop sounds, but it was more rooted in like an alternative sound, lots of live instruments, lots of live drums, really raw takes and things like that, which I still love. And then the second EP I had was more polished in the fact that it felt like it was more pop, R&B sounding. So like super clean, which still was really good, but it didn't really translate as much as the first one did to people. And so then I had to just take a little step back and be like, okay, what is it that I want to say and what I want to do, right? I knew that I always loved pop music, but I think I was afraid to make pop music because, you see all this, you hear the name, people are just like, you already kind of have these strikes against you. And also it's just really competitive. So I think I was afraid of pop music for a long time, even though, growing up, that's what I listened to. I love pop music. I still love pop music to this day. So I had to find a way to kind of do pop music in a way that felt natural to me and felt good to me and be okay with that. And so the 2020 project, The Way You See Me, was that exploration and trying to figure out, how can I make pop music that feels authentic to me, and put that into the world. So yeah, it's evolved and, going into this new phase, I think, and even the album after that, the debut album from 2023, the sound I feel like it's come full circle back to like the alternative sounds, but I've had more experience now that I know where to kind of drop those things into and how to use my pop sensibilities in a way that still feels good to me and feels cohesive. And like the sound isn't all over the place, even though it kind of is. Yeah. So I just think it's the experience of time and, continuing to create has really evolved the sound of it. And I think now, post the debut album and going into the second album or EPs or whatever it's going to end up being, I have a better sense of just what it is I like. I have more of a fuck it attitude. Like if it feels good to me, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, I just move forward from there.
Wow. I need to listen to that music from 2016.
Yeah,
I haven't heard it.
I saw what's interesting. I did it recently because I don't really like go back once it's kind of released. It's kind of like out of my view. So I haven't gone back and listened to that stuff for a long time. And then I don't know what it was, but I think a couple months ago I just decided like I want to like listen to all my work from like the start to now. And what's interesting in doing that for myself and maybe people who are inspired by the music or have listened to bits and pieces of the career might find this as well. It was interesting to see like how the sound is actually like, it's just literally developed from where it was. I don't think any piece of what I'm doing now wasn't prevalent in the big early works as well. It was all there. I just think it was like baby work. Like I didn't know exactly how to, articulate to a producer what I want to do or how to collaborate with the producer properly so that my ideas weren't completely squashed at that time, which is kind of like, here's what we're going to do. We did it based on, what we had available to us as well. And obviously the more I've done, I have a bit more resources, not a ton, but, it's just grown and, even just the act of being able to create has become a bit easier as far as making things sound really grand with a smaller budget. But I think all the elements were there from the beginning, and it's just like you can kind of see how it's being massaged over time and how the sound is kind of evolving from the beginning albums to now.
Yeah, so you've grown. That's good.
Definitely. I mean, you have to. We're human.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, I don't know what you're doing.
Thankfully, you've grown. I would have been worried.
Yeah, me too.
By the way, it's so nice to meet you.
You're always like just like these quick little DMs, and I'm always like 10 hours late with responding, but
So nice to meet Mr. Harmony in person.
I love that you gave me this nickname as well. It's really cute.
Do you like it?
I love it. It's great.
Okay. Because I can find another nickname.
No, it's organic. It works. It makes a lot of sense, and I love it. So keep it.
I will keep it.
Excellent.
So if someone listened to your music without knowing anything about you, what would they misunderstand about you?
Interesting. What would they misunderstand about me? I would say a lot of the music might sound somewhat aggressive is not the right word I want to use, but it might sound really intense, or like, you know, the emotions are typically very high in a lot of the songs. There's a little bit of a, you know, bad bitch attitude in the songs, which is part of me, but like I'm not that hard. Like I'm pretty soft, honestly. I think, you know, the music allows me an opportunity to kind of like pull out of the angst or, you know, frustrations that I have in life. It allows me to channel that into the music as opposed to like putting that onto somebody. So I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if people perceive the music this way, but if I'm to kind of think about how the music sounds to me, there's a lot of frustration and like angst in it, and maybe even some pessimism sometimes. But I think I'm more rounded than that.
You seem like a fun guy.
I try my best.
What's a part of yourself that only shows up when you make music?
Ooh, I think you know, making music allows me to be more extroverted. Like I think in general life, I'm pretty quiet. I'm pretty easygoing. I'm pretty like good with sitting in my house and just chilling. But the music itself, like it's like a heightened version of myself, I would say. You know, when I get like dolled up for the stage or like, you know, have to like really perform a song, I couldn't just do it like just kind of casually. Like, and to me, that wouldn't be entertaining or what I'd want to do. I think when I present the music, it allows me to kind of put on a bit of a character as Tafari Anthony, where that character is allowed to be a bit more boisterous and allowed to be a bit more grand and allowed to, you know, say some more out of pocket things that I might not say in real life. Even though it might be my true thoughts in real life as well. I think in my normal life, I'm probably a bit more careful with people and how I say things. Whereas in music, I'm just kind of like, fuck it, this is how I feel, that's what I'm going to say, and this is how it's going to go.
And who are you as a person, as a human being?
I think I am... These questions are also so deep, by the way.
You're welcome. It's not over yet.
Oh boy, it's just the warm-up. Okay.
If you need a drink, go ahead.
I didn't bring one. Damn it. Yeah, I'd say as a person, I'm kind. I care about people. You know, my circle is vast yet small. You know, I love to support my friends, I love to support my family and people I love, and I like to be there for people. It gets tough sometimes with, you know, this career because so much of this career is about, you know, me, which for me as well as a human is a weird situation to be in, because like in my normal life, I'm not really all about myself. But you kind of have to be a little bit selfish with the career to kind of move forward sometimes. So yeah, I think as a human and as a person, I'm kind. I care about people. I want people to, you know, be happy and succeed. And I like to support people around me.
I want to be a friend.
It's been like, what, 6 years we're going on now?
Oh my god, it's gonna be a fun episode. What's the most uncomfortable truth you've ever put into a song?
Most uncomfortable truth. Yeah. Okay. I mean, the one thing that's coming to my mind right now, yeah, I have a song "Golden Child," which you may not know because it's from the first album, but obviously you'll go check it out after this.
Yep.
But that one, that was a song about my coming out story, I guess, and again, that first project, like nobody had any idea who I was or what I was doing, so it was pretty free, and there was not much. There's not much that I was holding back because at the time I didn't really know how that would translate in front of the people. So I just kind of did what I wanted to do. But it's pretty much my story of coming out and, dealing with my father and just, being like the golden child of the family. I was the one who never got into trouble, never did anything. And, just was like, yes, okay, great. I'll clean my room. Yes, I'll do this. Yeah. Very just by the books. And then when it came out, it was all of a sudden just like I don't know. It was like I fucking like committed a murder or something to like deal with this thing. It was so dramatic. And I think that song, I don't even perform that song anymore at all. Like very rarely at this point. It's a bit much to do sometimes, but it's a pretty like accurate depiction of how I felt that whole time went as far as coming out with my parents and, what it felt like to kind of be in the star of their eyes. And all of a sudden, you're just kind of like scum, I'm being like disowned and I'm being told like I'm disgusting, all these kind of things. And, that stuff, I think it's still, even to this day, it's been many years now, but to this day, I feel like it still kind of like wears on your soul when like someone who is that close to you or people who are that close to you can switch on you that quickly. It takes a lot to recover from that damage. And I think that probably still comes through in a lot of the music in certain ways that I don't even think about consciously. But that song, I think, would be probably one of the ones that was the biggest uncomfortable truth that is out there. And maybe there's more to come. I don't know. But yeah. So
I need to hear it now. Yeah. But I have to wait. Can't wait to hear the lyrics.
Yeah.
Damn. How's your relationship with your parents now?
So my father and I don't have a relationship at all, to be honest. He made a decision that he didn't want to have a gay son. Having a gay son, it's whatever. But, his decision was that he couldn't deal with that. And a lot of that to me is ego and just, I have my own thoughts on it, but I'll leave that for another day. So yeah, we don't have a relationship at all. And then my mom and I, we have a relationship. It can be strained at times, but I know that the love is there. It's just a lot of times it's hard to let people, or it's hard for people to, really come around to changing their ideals and what they think. And, she's got her own things she's dealing with that are outside of me that I'll never understand. And I think that's just, you kind of move forward with that. But yeah, her and I at least I'm still in contact and still have a relationship, but yeah.
Yeah. Relationships with parents are hard. Yep.
True. Yeah.
And
grow up, but
yeah,
kind of still treat you like kids. And like, sometimes these parents, they don't want to acknowledge that they can also learn from you, their child, which is, I mean, I'm not a parent, so I feel like I shouldn't talk too much about it, but I just kind of feel like, in general, as people, like I have a lot of like younger friends as well from being in the music industry where it's like, for me to be like, oh, I can't learn a thing from you is kind of crazy. Like the world is changing constantly. So of course I can learn from someone like my age, someone older from me, people younger than me. Like I'm learning all the time from people. And it's how much are you willing to, like your ego kind of go so that you can like absorb people's experiences and understand people better and see how that, reflects onto you as well. So yeah,
exactly.
It's very tricky.
It is tricky. and we need to talk about it more, I think. Because people are just like, oh, it's all perfect, you know? But it's not.
And let's say some people probably have that experience. I think the most part, most people don't.
Yeah.
If you are kind of having that experience where like your relationship with your parents is quote unquote perfect, it's just probably things you're just not really divulging or like really diving into to kind of find those little cracks that are there, you know?
Yeah.
But there are some really amazing parents. And I'm not saying our parents are not great people, just probably misunderstood. But, you know, some parents who really understand what it means to kind of, you know, support that child through anything and grow with that person, your child, and as a person, and not just like, you know, I put you into the world, so you listen to me for the rest of your life. Like, cool, but like if you're wrong, you're wrong, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, my parents didn't teach me anything.
Oh boy.
Well, they taught me some stuff, but I had to learn on my own because they never really communicated anything at all.
Very much kind of like, what was like the dynamic for you growing up?
It's like I wasn't allowed to express myself emotionally and personally and just everything. And I had to grow up on my own. I have 3 sisters, older sisters, but they were always hanging out together and I was always by myself. And the relationship with my parents was, I don't know, not really there. Well, they were there when I needed them, in terms of health or just, you know, big things. But for other stuff, there was nothing. So, yeah, so much trauma.
Cultures are probably pretty similar, where I feel like a lot of the Black cultures, Caribbean cultures specifically, you know, the way that love is shown is kind of through actions as opposed to, you know, emotions and feelings and like mental health. So, you know, like, yeah, my parents, you know, I would never struggled for anything. Like, you know, we're not rich people, but like we lived comfortably. Like, you know, if we needed something, chances are we were able to get it. And like that's how that love is shown in the cultures. Like, we're here to support you in these things, and like, you know, you've got a room, you have access to create music, these kind of things. But then what's missing a lot of the times is like the emotional connection and the emotional support, which I have to believe is there because, you know, that person created you.
Yeah.
So it's got to be there somewhere. But I think these cultures, they don't necessarily always have the knowledge of how to communicate that to a child or, you know, their offspring. And it often gets kind of lumped in with just like, well, I did these things for you, but that means I love you. Well, yeah, I'm doing these things, that's great. But like, I need support in my mental health, or like I'm struggling with these things, like, and I have nobody to talk to, but they don't know how to like really connect those lines or those dots. You know what I mean? Sometimes. So yeah, I feel like some of the Asian cultures have the same kind of thing, which is kind of like, you know, we're here, we're supporting you, and this means that it's love. But, you know, I think us growing up in these other cultures now, we need a bit more emotional support than they're used to giving. And the reality is that this is how they also grew up, right? They didn't grow up with parents that were emotionally available, right? So it's like, I give grace because I understand this. Doesn't make it not much better, not necessarily. But, you know, the understanding to me is that, yeah, like you have been brought up a certain way, and that's how you are moving forward with life. And again, going back to, you know, being open to learning from people who are younger than you and different cultures and these kind of things. If you're not open to exploring those things, then you're not going to evolve in a way that can do better than your parents did in that regard, right? Like I know for Jamaicans and, you know, a lot of Caribbean families, it's like, it's about make the money, money and support yourself and work hard, right? That's what you need to do in life. Yes, that's a great point. But I think also, you know, relationships with people and emotional connection and stability and these kind of things, they're also just as important, but it's not highlighted as much in those cultures sometimes. And, you know, it takes the next generation to kind of break those cycles and hopefully, that becomes a thing that trickles down to the families, and, there's at least more of a balance, hopefully, in physical support and, the emotional support.
We are breaking the cycle.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'm the only one in my family doing that right now.
Okay.
Because I can see how my sisters react or think, or, and I'm like, oh, I'm growing now.
Is there a big age gap between you guys?
The other one is, I forgot how old she is. 50.
Okay.
And then we have 40, 46 and 45. I'm 39. It used to be huge when I was young, but now it's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, as you get older, it's like, time is
Yeah.
time is overused. But I think when you're younger, like, that's a pretty big age gap, which would make a lot of sense why, like, they're all kind of hanging out together, because they're technically a bit more closer in age, and like more the experiences are kind of happening at around the same time, whereas you were probably just like way too young for them to relate to.
Yep.
Whereas now it's, it just all kind of ties in together. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I have two sisters, but we're all like 3 years apart from each other. So it never really felt like we're all so far apart. But then I also left home, after I turned 19 or 18, 19. So my youngest sister and I, like, our relationship is not as close potentially as my other sister, because I just wasn't around for like the high school years, where I think a lot of learning and growing happens. But it's not to say that there's not, the love and support is not there as well. It's just, I feel like I wasn't around, so it's just a bit of a different relationship than, being in the house at the same time, experiencing school together at the time, and, what the household was like at that time, I have no idea, because I was already gone. So, yeah.
Lucky.
I don't know if I'd say lucky. I was just a very self-aware person, always, which is like a gift and a curse. But I knew early on, from when I knew that I was queer, like, I knew how my friends felt about it, and I was like, I have to get my shit together, because I will not be able to survive in this house forever. So the minute I could get out, I did, and then that was that.
Damn, this conversation took a turn. This was not on my list.
Yeah, you started the question, okay?
I'm sorry, I was just so into it. I need a break. Anyway, another deep question. How do you protect your mental health when your art asks you to be emotionally open all the time?
Yeah, I think it's something that I'm still working on, to be completely honest. I don't necessarily find it hard or taxing to be so emotionally available with the creation of the music itself. Again, because I do a lot of it on my own. Like, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to somebody recently. I've done some more writing camps recently where, I don't know if you know anything about that, but if listeners don't know, like, a writing camp is kind of, you have like between, let's say, like 5 to 20 people who come to a space, and the goal is to write a bunch of songs, right? Oftentimes this happens in like bigger artists or, more pop sensibilities, where they're trying to make quote unquote hits. So you get a bunch of people together to kind of help write these songs, and that happens that way. So I've done a couple of these more recently, and they can be fun, but I find them pretty taxing, because either I become the artist in the session, and it's about, really, what is it that's going on in your life? And I'm like, okay, it's a lot to have to, like, bring all my, drama and trauma to a session with people I've never met before a lot of times, and have to be that open about it. And then what happens in that situation often is, like, you open up for hours, and you end up singing the song, and you have to, like, connect with these people, and then you go home to yourself, or you leave the session and you're by yourself, and it's like, there's nothing to really, bring you back to where you're supposed to be. You're just kind of like you've opened up so much in that day, and like now you're just kind of like stuck in that feeling. And in those rooms, sometimes it's like you don't necessarily want to break down or anything like that. It can happen, of course, but you have to be a little bit professional and on guard a little bit. So, you might leave the session and have create a song that was really personal and deep. And then you go home and it's like, okay, now I'm sitting with that because I have to open up all these wounds that, might have been closed before the session or whatever, or I thought was closed. And now you're kind of sitting in that, and it takes a while for me personally to kind of get back to a sense of like, okay, I can like move past the situation that was happening for this thing. So it can be challenging. I think for me, the releasing process becomes the harder part for the mental health. Because again, when I'm writing by myself, I think I know how to protect myself better that way. And it's intentionally, when I'm writing by myself, I think it's with the intention of getting those feelings out, right? So I want to be as open as I can in that. I'm also by myself, so I feel comfortable and safe in my own space to, if I need to cry something out, or if I need to like really say something, I can just do that, and then I can find my way out of it, or also decide how far I want to go with that. But with the releasing process, I feel like, especially even doing Never Know You right now, it's been interesting because you want to say enough, but I don't have to open up this wound to everybody. I don't have to like say exactly who this person was and all this kind of stuff. But people seem to want that, or like you're kind of told that this is what people want, which is a lot of like opening up wounds and opening up trauma to sell records. Like, no. Because who's gonna recover from that afterwards? Like, great, you got my little story and that's cool, but like then I'm here struggling and I'm in all this emotional turmoil, trying to find ways to cope. And this is probably why a lot of artists end up on drugs and this kind of stuff, because like where there's no support necessarily after the thing is done, and after you've been kind of like used up and pulled from to like put you back together, you're just kind of left to figure it out for yourself. So yeah, that's the long answer. The short answer is I have no idea. And I'm still working on it. And I think the best thing for me, and maybe this is helpful for somebody else, is just, to be as aware of myself as I can be, so I know when is too much or what is too far. And I can, kind of put a stop to that line before I kind of cross it and then can't come back from it.
By the way, you can say that Never Know You is about me.
Are you sure you want to do that? I'm not sure you'd want that to be about you.
Let's say it everywhere.
What a cross promotion. I love it.
Damn, that would be fun.
We'll find a better song for you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you won't cry in your car.
Yeah, we'll find
singing about me.
Yeah, but it's a little bit not as sad. But I'll still be a ballad, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So what does a low day look like for you, and what helps you come back from it?
Like a low day emotionally, or?
Yeah, emotionally.
There's a lot of low days, especially when it comes time to releasing, because there's, as much as I want to be like, I have no expectation of anything, this and that, like the reality is, of course I fucking do. Like I put in all this time and energy into making this music, and you want it to reach people, yes, for the emotion of it, and for the fact, I created this art and I want people to resonate with it. That's amazing. Ultimately, we're in the music business, so I do need to make money and I need to survive. So what that looks like is really selling your soul and really having to like, push a lot of things. So the act of releasing music, or should I say the act of releasing it, but like maybe the promotion, the act of promoting music for me is a tough one, because it's really against a lot of what I feel as a normal person, like outside of creating music. And it comes with a lot of, for instance, like I'm posting almost every day at this point, which I've been off social media for kind of almost half a year, if not longer. So being back and having to promote and, post every day and stuff. And then, you get like maybe like 20 likes on the thing that you spend all this time on, or, a couple comments, or none. Like, or sometimes you'll get like, when I first announced a single, I got like maybe I think like 5,000 views on the thing, which is insane for me, by the way. That seems like for some people is like nothing, is like not a lot, but for me that's a lot. And then, you know, the next day you might get a post that has like 100 views. And it's like, there's a lot of highs and lots of lows. And it's like trying to jump between the two things all the time is really draining and creates like a lot of low moods for me. So yeah, a low day for me is going through those motions and having to kind of like navigate that on my own, because again, I'm just kind of working by myself. Like I don't really have any kind of team really as far as when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like I have my production team, but outside of that, I'm just kind of figuring it out for myself. So there's no one to really like grab you, but I've had to kind of force myself to not sit in those feelings too long. Like I think it's okay to have those feelings for a little bit. Like, okay, you know, I was expecting this song to blow up or whatever. It didn't happen. Wow, it was me. But if you sit in that for too long, then it just becomes a really big issue. But what I've noticed is the more that I've opened up to my peers who are there, we're all doing the same thing. We're all kind of experiencing the same thing, but you kind of forget because, you know, we're not in a band together. So it's like, you don't really think that maybe I should talk to someone else who's in this business right now and see how they're feeling about this kind of stuff. Because, you know, what I realized a lot of us are kind of going through the same emotions and stuff. And it kind of helps those low days not feel as low. But I mean, they're still going to come. It's just the reality of it is, you know, we are human. We have expectations, even as much as we don't want to. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of, you know, realizing that and allowing yourself to have those moments. And that's also healthy. Like you can't just act like it's not happening or like you're not feeling low about certain things. I think it's important to acknowledge that, but it's, for me, it's trying to find a way out of it. And not every low day do I get out of it that same day. Like I think the last, you know, putting out the song a couple weeks ago, I've had a lot of low days because I'm just like, it's not reaching. Like, but the people who are getting it get it, and that's really amazing and cool. And yeah, I have to kind of use those as reminders to kind of pull myself out of whatever funk I'm in for the, you know, X amount of days. But yeah,
it's not easy. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
It is not easy.
It's really not. Yeah.
But you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
We're in this together. I'm going to do my best to keep listening.
Please do. I mean, you're doing amazing already.
You know what? I'm going to go and like all your posts now on the TikTok. Freaking TikTok.
Yeah, I think, yeah, for me, it's like having to post like the same kind of thing over and over again is just such a weird mentality to me. Like, I understand it, but it's one of those things that's so against how I personally feel. Like, I'd rather see, you know, less quote unquote content from somebody and have it all be pretty different than, you know, the same thing 30 times, even though I know that's what we're supposed to be doing right now. But yeah, TikTok it's a different beast.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm really trying with TikTok, but one that is it's tough for me to keep up with because I just,
yep,
you know, like the music, I need things to be changing and I need different things happening often.
It is hard. I didn't want to go on TikTok, but I had to. So now I'm stuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's, you know, it's great for discovery, and I understand it. And like, you have to kind of go where the people are. Like, that's the mentality, because if you're not where the people are, then how are they going to find your stuff? So I understand all of that. I think going into this next project, what I kind of have told myself, and I have to keep reminding myself of, is just like, you know, I can only do so much. I can only do so much. I can only do what I can do. And I'm going to have to find ways to make this feel good for myself, because I want the music to reach. So the alternative is that I don't make it feel good for myself and I don't do the things. But I have to find ways that feel good to me in these systems, so that I can get through these processes, because, you know, ultimately I want the music to reach people. And if this is what it takes for that to happen, I've got to find a way to do it.
Do you?
Yes, do you. Just do it.
Yep. What's something life taught you recently that no one talks about enough?
Yeah, wow. Recently, ooh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of situations, uh, we'll call it ghosting, for lack of a better term. Um, Life has really shown me that people can really be there for you 1 second and really switch up on you on the next. And I'm a person who puts a lot of energy into people and relationships, and quite often it's not reciprocated at the same level. And again, it's not to say that everyone has to be the same. However, there has to be, for me, there has to be some level of like, I can see there's some effort happening in these things. But I don't know what it is about me.
You know what? I feel the same.
Yeah. Where people will be in and like,
Yeah.
take. And then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, thank you, but bye. Or not even bye. Sometimes just like, okay, thank you. And then you just.
Exactly. Yeah. It's even worse.
You know, and yeah, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I'm sure I've had moments like that unintentionally. But it's the moments where like, you know, people are really close to you, like years, and, you know, really supportive. You're supporting them, this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's just like, you never existed. I don't understand it. I don't understand.
You know what? Fuck people. I'm tired of them. We give so much. And you know what? What is this sentence that goes like, be kind, not nice? What was it? Something like that.
I haven't heard that one, but that makes sense. Yeah.
Because we're being too nice, I think.
Yeah. I guess there's a difference between kindness and being nice. Because I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I'm realizing, you know, and especially I'm talking about a very specific situation right now, which is like a breakup. Not all that. But you know, in this situation, it's like I sacrificed a lot of things for that relationship and to maintain it, and you know, to appease that person and kind of like get into their world. And I'm not saying I did it for any other reason other than I wanted to at that time. But the switch up that I got from that person after almost 3 years together was insane. And it just kind of became a thing where all of a sudden they were in my life all the time, and then it was just like nothing. And that's somebody that you're like romantically linked with, which is fucking crazy to me. So yeah, I realized I spent a lot of time and energy into putting that relationship, you know, at the forefront and maintaining it and supporting that person. And then, you know, what is it that you get at the end of that? And not saying that everything has to be so transactional, but, you know, ultimately a lot of people think this way. So, you know, if I'm going to put all my energy into this thing, life is kind of teaching me that maybe I need to put my energy somewhere else and focus on myself.
Yep.
Which kind of brings you back to never know you. It's like, you know, you're kind of with these people who you love and you support and you want to support and you want to see the best for, but ultimately, you know, I can't lose myself and what I need in those people who are not even going to support what you are and who you are at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think I've had to refocus. To answer the question, I think life has told me to, you know, put your energies on yourself first. It's like the airplane, you know, take care of yourself first before you help the person beside you.
Exactly.
If I'm not good, I can't help you, dude. So
we have to be selfish.
I think it's important sometimes. Yeah.
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 We come first.
Because I mean, everyone else is thinking this way.
So yep.
You gotta find a way around it. But yeah, I think that's a lesson that has come up a lot, that I'm slowly starting to realize, okay, yes, I need to be a bit more about me in some situations and maybe not give so much so quickly.
Yeah.
Not everybody deserves all of you like that, I think. And I often give a lot before much is really given to me.
Me too.
Yeah.
But it's the past now.
Yes, yes, we're moving forward, we're breaking down the barriers, we're breaking down the cycles, you know.
Exactly. If you could send one message to your younger self before your career started, what would it be?
Mm. To my younger self, I would say, just like slow down a little bit. Um, yeah, I think when I was younger, a lot of things felt like it had to happen really fast, or like it wasn't happening fast and it wasn't working. But the reality I'm finding now is like things will take a lot of time. Things are always changing so much that's like I can barely keep up personally. Um, and I would say, yeah, like slow down a bit and, kind of remember and foster the relationships with people a bit more. Um, I think through kind of building this career, I have focused so much on, creating the music and pushing that out that a lot of friendships have kind of fallen to the wayside sometimes. And not necessarily because of anything other than just like I'm really focused and locked into what I'm doing, which is great. But, once these things are not, panning out the way you want them to like who's around if you're not kind of focusing on those things. So yeah, I think that would be something that I wish I would tell my younger self or would have known when I was younger to kind of, again, have a better balance of, pushing this career. But yes, I still have people around me that I can also support and stuff. So I'm trying to do better these days with that as well. It's not easy. But yeah, I think I have a lot of great people around me that um, often are like a little bit, the thoughts of them are a little bit on the back burner because I'm so focused on, got to make this music, got to find this money, got to do this. It's a lot of like career stuff over personal relationships.
I have one last question.
Okay.
What biggest life lessons have you learned so far?
Biggest life lessons. I mean, I think we've talked about this the whole thing.
Full circle.
Full circle. I feel, yeah, life is about people. Life is about, taking care of yourself. Life is about, you know, I think, yeah, I think the more, kind of we get into like the AI world and all this kind of stuff, you do start to realize like life is really about people and the relationships and connections that you can make and have and genuine connections, I should say. You've heard there are these songs people I don't even like. So it's kind of really talking about that idea of, spending